Hi dear ones, how are you today? Today we're going to focus on shadow work and how can shadow work be part of loving ourselves and this particular journey of self-love. Well, we all have demons inside of us and every day we fight against them. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, and of course we can be overtaken by guilt or anxiety or feeling not good enough. This society tells us to focus on the good things like love and light, but never ever do they say deal with your shadow. Normally, if it's ignored and pushed away into the deepest, darkest corners of our souls, then perhaps it will go away if it's ignored for long enough. But this is not the way to heal. This is not the way to love ourselves unconditionally and completely. And I actually had a personal experience yesterday with shadow work, and I've been drawn to share with you not only this experience, but we're going to look into ways of dealing with our shadow selves for the rest of this week. Carl Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, in order to avoid facing their own souls. They will practice Indian yoga and all its exercises, observe a strict diet regimen, learn the literature of the whole world, all because they cannot get on with themselves and have not the slightest faith that anything useful could ever come out of their own souls. Thus the soul has gradually been turned into a Nazareth from which nothing good can come. So the demons haunting us, as I said before, can either be seen in small glimpses or in full chaos. And mine tends to show up as a very strict German version of myself in shadow form, because my third eye is open so I can see myself in my shadow form. And she is very strict, very scolding, and this finger comes out all the time. Now, when we understand that our shadow selves are only a reflection of us, the person that we see in the mirror, and remember, the person we see in the mirror is not actually ourselves. So I'm going to share with you a little situation that occurred with me yesterday in the hopes that you will understand how it works. And then for the rest of the week, we're going to deal with healing practices with regards to that. So I had an interaction with somebody yesterday that tends to bring out my deepest vulnerabilities. Being a powerful empath myself, I tend to very often feel other people's emotions as if they are my own, especially when there is eros love that is shared between myself and the other person. It can happen also when I'm with a client, and I actually feel their emotions because I will tap into them. But of course, in a client situation, you have all of your little rituals and things like that where you can shut down and close chakras down and everything. And that then is easy because you know and you expect it to come. However, when it is in a personal situation and when it is in a situation where you find yourself perhaps without your suit of armor on, and you feel it, you find yourself going down deep into that well, and it's very dark down there and you feel alone. So what happened yesterday was that I had this interaction, and it was actually a very positive interaction, but of course I was overtaken with a little bit of grief because of a relationship ending, and also gratitude that there was that a better understanding was emerging from the separation. And I found myself all of a sudden being scolded by my inner self for completely unrelated things. Work scenarios, things that could have been misconstrued and misunderstood. And I had my shadow self scolding me like you will not believe, telling me how it could have been misunderstood and what were my intentions when I spoke those words and when I said this. And I went into this sort of situation, this world where this demon was me. And I felt completely overwhelmed. I felt overwhelmed by shadow. I felt overwhelmed by darkness. And it was as if my light was dimmed for just those few minutes. And I felt completely overwhelmed. And being able to stand out of my body for a moment, just that moment, and and to observe myself as a human being, a human doing, and inside a spirit, I actually realized that, hold on a second, this is another lesson, and this is something else that I can not only share and everybody else can learn from, but I can overcome myself. So this was a gift. And so my first feeling was that I should call somebody and pour out how I was feeling and cry and sob and talk it out. And I realized that in doing so, I was probably going to find myself not getting what I actually required from the other person in order to deal with my stuff and to heal that shadow self, but probably would find myself feeling guilty about using somebody else's time. There again comes in the guilt, the shadow self using somebody else's time, bending their ear on my stuff when, come on, you've got all the tools to deal with them, Virginia. So why do you need anybody else to assist with this? And with all of this conflicting everything coming in all at once and feeling so overwhelmed, I actually said, whoa, stop the bus. Put my hands up, felt completely overwhelmed and just stopped everything. I felt like I had a Matrix moment, when Neo stops all the bullets, and I just said, whoa, stop. And I got up from where I was and I walked around and I said, I know what's wrong here. I need to love and approve of myself enough that I'm giving myself what I so desperately need from other people. And this is where the path of relationship comes in, where I'm able to satisfy my needs within myself instead of looking to others for approval on how I'm dealing with it, what I'm dealing with, what my opinions are, and the whole story, and explaining, and then having to reassure somebody else. So I came back and I sat in exactly the same position, and I closed my physical eyes and opened up my third eye chakra, and I looked and I saw my shadow self sitting in front of me on the opposite side of me, because that's sort of, for me, that's how it works. But I saw her completely in shadow. And I looked to her and I said to her, why are you doing this? Why do you find it necessary to do this? There is no need for you to do this. You do not need to scold me. There was never any negative intentions. Why are you doing this? And I looked at her and realized she was feeling unloved. And isn't that the source of all of our anxiety? All of the chaos that tends to sort of come up for us, all of the guilt that we feel, it's all because we have not loved and approved of ourselves, right? And it was like this big eureka moment. And I looked to her and I said, come here. And I literally, because my eyes were closed, I could feel her, I could see her. I put my arms around her. And I touched her and hugged her and held her just the same way as I would should I be doing this for a friend of mine, for a physical friend of mine that had come into my space, who was in distress, who was feeling sad. And I put my arms around her and I reassured her and I said, I love you. We're both on the same side. We might be different parts of the same person, but we're still the same person. And we're both working together for our highest and greatest good. So it is not necessary for us to act like each other's enemies, when in actual fact, we're trying our best. Just love me like I love you. And I repeated and reassured. And it took a little while. And then I released it. And I said, right, I'm in charge of my thoughts. Thoughts create emotions. And thoughts can be changed. So I'm now going to change my thoughts from any negative, scolding thoughts. I'm going to change them to self-love thoughts. And that's exactly what I did. And I had a really, really good evening. And I now feel that the next little while is going to be dealt. It's going to be spent dealing with my shadow self and going through how to help heal that wounded part of myself. And I invite I invite you all on this journey with me, because I guarantee you, through my own healing experiences, you will be able to see that if I can do it, so can you. And isn't it time that we all healed our wounded selves? And so we remain strong in our power with the foundation of the 4 agreements and the 5 Reiki principles, because just for today, I'm kind to all living things, including myself, and grateful for each and every gift, no matter how much it might hurt initially. It's only when I look at it initially, though, that it seems like it's not a gift, when in actual fact it is. So, dear ones, join me. I look forward to sharing this journey with you. And if there's anything I can assist with, please let me know in the comments below. And please subscribe. Much appreciated. So much love.